Well, season's greetings, Win TV family. I'm your host, Denise Rollard Barnes, publisher of the Washington Informer, and I am so glad to see you all here with me today. You know, I've got Georgia on my mind, not because of Ray Charles, but because the folks in Georgia sent a clear message. They stood up, voted, and brought in victory for the man that they wanted to represent them in the U.S. Senate. So congratulations to Raphael Warnock, Senator Raphael Warnock, who will return to the Senate for 6 years, because, you know, senators serve for 6 years. So he was completing the term of former senator. So now he is a six-term senator there in Georgia. And I think we should all just give congratulations and a shout out to all of those folks down there in Georgia who just made sure that nobody, and I know some folks did, but nobody stayed home on election day, despite some things that, you know, they tried to put in the way. But voting matters. If we don't know it now, we should know it now. Voting matters, and we'll see how he does in the Senate. And you know, it doesn't mean you go vote and you take your eyes off of what happens there and the role that he plays. We've got to keep our eyes on the prize. So anyway, congratulations to the folks in Georgia. I hope you've had a chance to pick up a copy of this week's Washington Informer. You can read the digital edition online at www.washingtoninformer.com. And I would encourage you that if you'd like to receive the digital edition in your mailbox, go online and subscribe, because we will be sending that out every week on Thursday. And so you can get the digital edition online. You can also pick it up at newsstands throughout the DMV. So if you want to know where to find a copy of the newspaper, you can always go to www.washingtoninformer.com and click on the places where the newspaper is available, and you might find a newsstand near you. We hope that you'll do it all. That's what we hope. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and hit share so our followers can see the broadcast. If you're watching on Twitter, be sure to follow us, and we will follow you back. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at WashingtonInformer.com. Well, there's a lot of news going on right now. It's like we're not post-COVID, but folks are acting like, you know, it's time for us to get together and take care of business. So next week, the United States is honored to have more than 30 U.S. African presidents visiting Washington, D.C., for the U.S. African Leaders Summit. The last time this summit took place was under the Obama administration in 2017, I believe it is. And this year, President Biden has invited African heads of state from 52 countries. I don't know, they all won't show up, but most of those countries. And so we're going to look to see who's here. The Washington Informer will be on the ground covering this. And so we are really excited about that. Misha Green, you all got a chance to meet our new editor last week, Washington Informer managing editor. Well, she talked to NBA Africa athlete and Beat the Odds CEO Jared Harrington yesterday about a panel he'll be hosting for young people attending the U.S. Africa Leaders Summit. If you don't know, and we did write about this in the Informer, we'll continue to write about that. A significant, I would say over 50% of the population on the continent of Africa is under the age of 19. So there's a lot of potential coming out of that, coming out of the continent, coming out of all of those countries. And the young folks over there are ready to step into the role of leadership. So we look forward to hearing that interview with Misha Green and Jared Harrington. Be sure to go to our Facebook page and watch it. So thanks, Sherry. I thought we had to wait, but you know what? Nothing like going on the Facebook page right now because the interview is there. So if you get to the interview, you like it, please share it with your friends. And I know Misha did a fine job. If you're going to be downtown, note there will be lots of street closures and metro disruptions next week. The National Guard will be in DC to help with the traffic, and road closures will start at 4 p.m. on Sunday and last through midnight Saturday. The conference the summit will be held at the Washington Convention Center, Walter Washington Convention Center, and there's some activities over at the Carnegie. So all of that area, the Shaw Metro Station, all of that area is going to be shut down. So it's not the first time because the Convention Center has hosted many events, national events, including inauguration balls and what have you. So, just know that this is what's going to happen. The other thing, though, is that folks will be all over the city attending events. And so everybody will be impacted for the week next week. So, just pay close attention to that. Another thing to celebrate, great news. WNBA player Brittany Griner is back in the United States. She arrived in San Antonio, Texas, I believe it was last night. And, she has spent 10 months in captivity in a Russian prison. We know a lot of you are praying for her release, and thankfully the negotiations by the Biden administration worked, and she is home for Christmas. So, it's a good thing that she has made it back. And, what can I say? Everybody worked hard to make sure that she made it back home. And what a wonderful Christmas gift for her and for members of the United States who really wanted to see this day come. Speaking of days coming, we talk about arrivals, but we also have to talk about losses. DC officials walked into RFK Stadium yesterday for the last time to watch as the last orange lower bowl seats were hauled away as part of the demolition process set to be completed by the end of 2023. Yes, RFK Stadium will be gone. And it was such a wonderful opportunity to hear from Kathleen Kennedy, the daughter of Robert F. Kennedy, for whom the stadium was named, there as well to give remarks and such wonderful stories about memories of RFK Stadium. And we're going to do a little fun thing here at the Informer ourselves because we're looking forward to getting one of those stadium seats. So look out because we're going to ask people if you have an RFK Stadium story. We'd love for you to come into WIN TV studios, tell your story, and we're going to document that. So keep a lookout for that invitation. We're waiting for the seat. We may get it in a few days, but we look forward to hearing the RFK Stadium story. It's an emotional, let's say, loss for the city. The stadium is in such disrepair. And but if you're a native Washingtonian like me, or you've been here a long time, you've got some great memories of events and family memories and games and players and all that at RFK. So we want to get those and record those and keep those for our archives and for the archives of the folks at Events DC who are managing this whole project. And DC Delegate Ellen Holmes Norton, as you may know, will introduce, I know that you know who she is, but she is planning to introduce legislation to allow DC to take control of that land because if you read our story next week in the Washington Informer, you'll hear what the mayor's plans are. But you know that there are also some folks that are hoping that we can create some space for the commanders to come back to Washington. So we'll see how that works. Starting July 1, 2023, the DC government will subsidize Metro bus rides in the city, allowing passengers to ride free. We're going to follow more of that as well and see how that goes. I mean, it's an expensive cost to the district, but and to Metro, but the city's trying to, I think, address some issues in transportation. And there are a lot of transportation issues we're going to be talking about. But just want to let you know that this starts on July the 1st of next year. So keep your ears open about that. We are having some great guests today. On WIN TV, we're going to have Gerald Hinton, who is the Senior Community Relations Specialist at Pepco and the sponsor of our first segment, who will be with us to talk about the gift of energy assistance, and storm preparation. So we're really honored to have Pepco with us and to help us to prepare for what could be coming this holiday or this winter season. The founder and CEO of Cerebro Communications is joining WIN TV for a conversation about a new branding methodology called human marketing. Can't wait to hear more about that. And Elfrida Copeland, owner of Agape Bling Fashions, LLC, will talk to us about some of the holiday gift items she has available for purchase. So we're looking forward to talking with Elfrida Copeland. And last but not least, Nicole Kirkendall will be with us to talk about Black Holiday Trivia, a fun game for the family. And she is the creator of that game. And I understand Sherry already got the game. So it's something fun to do for the holiday season. So we want to find out what Nicole has put together. So stay tuned. Don't go away. If you do, come right back. But we want you to hear from our first guest. But until then, let's watch this week's broadcast by Curtis Knowles.
This is WIN TV News, bringing you the news that matters. Incumbent Raphael Warnock defeated Herschel Walker in the runoff election for the Senate race in Georgia. The victory gives Democrats a 51-49 edge in the U.S. Senate. Georgia's contest has been settled by a runoff election because no candidate had passed the 50% mark in November, although Warnock had led Walker by 37,000 votes. Voting numbers in Georgia on Tuesday alone reached 1.4 million, according to election official Gabriel Sterling, who said, quote, "There have been a record turnout across the board." Warnock, who became the first black senator in Georgia state when he first won his seat in January 2021, addressed his victory party saying, quote, "It is my honor to utter the foremost powerful words to ever be spoken in democracy. The people have spoken." DC Attorney General Karl Racine announced Wednesday a lawsuit against Amazon.com Incorporated and Amazon Logistics Incorporated for stealing tips from delivery drivers through means of a deceptive and illegal operation that tricked consumers into believing they were increasing drivers' compensation when the company was actually diverting tips to lower labor costs and increase profits. Racine commented saying, quote, "This suit is about providing workers the tips they are owed and telling consumers the truth. Amazon, one of the world's wealthiest companies, certainly does not need to take tips that belong to workers, and Amazon can and should do better." The D.C. Council on Tuesday unanimously approved Councilmember Charles Allen's bill that would make buses in the district free of charge. The Ward 6 Democrats' Metro for D.C. legislation will go into effect in July. Additionally, city residents with a registered Smart Trip card will get a $100 monthly stipend starting in 2024. The bill funds overnight services for 12 major bus lines and sets up a $10 million fund dedicated to annual investments in bus lanes, shelters, and other improvements. The council will hold a second and final vote on Allen's bill on December 20th. Allen commented saying, quote, "Today's vote on this transformational bill shows the district is ready to be a national leader in the future of public transit."
Thank you very much, Curtis. And now I'm excited to bring on Gerald Hinton of Pepco. As I mentioned, Gerald is the Senior Community Relations Specialist at Pepco, and I am so happy that you taken some time to talk with us today. How are you?
I'm doing great, Denise. It's a pleasure being here today.
Yeah. I mean, especially now, people are, well, I know that we weren't really, this isn't part of our conversation, but there are a lot of people who are talking about the power outage in North Carolina. And we know that that was a deceptive thing that happened down there. I mean, not deceptive, but, sort of almost like a terrorist act that happened down there. But, and it's something I know Pepco couldn't prevent from happening here. but it's important. I mean, people are really concerned or paying closer attention about, their utilities, particularly their Pepco bills, and their service, So I think this is a prime time to have you on the show and to talk about, what you all are preparing us for the holiday
Oh,
season.
yeah.
So take it over, take it away.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much again for having me on the show today, and that great warm welcome. What I wanted to kind of talk to individuals about today, your audience about today, is the Energy Assistance Program featured from the DC Department of Energy and Environment, but specifically about that program, the importance of submitting a completed application. So I'm going to say that one more time here: the importance of submitting a completed application the first time around. A completed application allows that your customers' application for energy assistance to go through a lot faster and allows their approval process to happen a lot quicker. Just to step back here and give a little background information on the Energy Assistance Program. The Energy Assistance Program the Department of Energy and Environment administers is the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, or more commonly known as LIHEAP. And within this LIHEAP program, the program year starts October 1st and goes through September 30th. And so for many of you, the program year just started out 2 months ago. So if you haven't already applied for this program year, make certain that you get your applications in and go ahead and get that information done, submitted on in.
Gerald, can I ask you before
Oh,
you go
yes.
forward, what are some of the things you ask on that application?
So some of the general information they'll ask for is they'll ask for how many people are in the household. The information will ask for what utilities you're going to be applying for. So whether it's going to be for Pepco, whether it's going to be for Washington Gas, or for households that have both gas and electric, they would be applying for. They'd make a determination on which one they'd be applying for.
Okay.
And so within that application as well, they're going to ask you for specific documentation to bring in to include in that application packet. So that documentation would be the most recent copies of your utility bills. It'd be proof of income. So whether that's a pay stub, those of you that may be receiving a Social Security benefit, it could be documentation of that benefit and what that payout is going to be. Or if you're receiving retirement funds from your company that you retired from, it could be a pension statement. But all of those things they're going to be looking for that to support what your proof of income is. If you have a disconnection notice, you always want to include that because that will help accelerate the process for moving your application through the system. They're going to want Social Security cards for members of the household as well, or some type of verification from the Social Security Administration that allows you to see that what that number is from you as well. And then photo ID from the applicant to verify that this is the person applying for the benefit.
Now, again, one of the concerns that many have are as it relates to seniors, right? And many of them are living alone, isolated. There may be a lot of other issues going on with them as well. And so is there a way that anything Pepco's put in place, or any relationships that Pepco has to make sure that they're not, that as many seniors as possible can access this program?
Well, great question. So I think with us, our primary focus with myself and my colleagues, we go out into the community and bring the resources out into the community. I know with some of the senior housing communities, we actually go out with DOE and we have what we call application draws, where the residents of those locations can come in, bring their applications down. Someone from DOE can look over the packet, make certain they have all the documentation right then and there. And if they don't, they can run back upstairs and grab whatever's left as well. So that's one of the areas, and we go out and do that. And we're doing that on a regular basis with the Department of Energy and Environment. So that's a great resource for us to be out in the community to be able to do that. But also we're getting the information and getting the resources out by doing a lot of resource tables in the community and making certain that just everyone in the community is aware, and trying to be out there as many places as possible and get that information out. Again, through education, it allows people an opportunity to move forward.
Yeah, that's excellent, because we all know that sometimes when things happen, you've got seniors in places where they just can't access the resources, the gift that Pepco has or others have for them. So it's a good way to kind of spread the word. And of course, between us and others, you need messengers out there to let folks know where they can call and how they can access this. Let's talk about weatherizing our homes, because the weather hasn't really been too bad yet. And what are some of the things that you would recommend that people would do to get their houses or their homes winter ready?
So for winter ready, I know that we talked a little bit about some of the weatherization things as far as making certain the windows are insulated, making certain the doors and everything are insulated. If you have drafty areas, you can also get the those little door dogs or tails that they have to that you can lay down by the door to help keep that draft from coming in. You also want to make certain that you have your energy efficient light bulbs to help lower your energy bills as well. The LED light bulbs. We had the CFL light bulbs in the house, but we've transitioned now to the LED light bulbs because the LEDs are more efficient and they'll last a lot longer as well. So those are some of the tips that you could do for making your house more comfortable and more efficient during the winter months.
Don't think I can throw you a question that's a curveball, but because I said no, we prepared to talk about certain things. But you all do energy audits as well, right?
We do
Okay.
energy audits as well, and so those are actually the function that we actually function as well. So those can be reached out by calling our customer service line at 202-833-7500, and they can get connected up with those as well.
Right, right. It just seems to me, and I have to commend Pepco and others who are making sure because we're becoming so energy efficient now in our households, and
Mhm.
so as energy bills began to rise, we realized that the companies are making sure that there are certain things we can do to make sure that that doesn't happen, that we don't
Mhm.
exceed, the amount that we should be paying for energy. Because suppose they're complaining, oh, my energy bill is getting so high. These are the things you can do to keep it low,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. Good, good. So anything else that you all have for us that's a gift? You're just putting a lot under our tree. So what else you got?
Well, you mentioned a gift here, so this would be the prime time to talk about the Pepco Gift of Energy program. And
Yeah.
so we're in the holiday season, and everyone's in the mood and the spirit of giving a gift to someone. And so, what better gift to give than the gift of energy? And through the Pepco Gift of Energy program, this allows individuals to give the gift of energy to make a donation or pledge to a customer's account. It can be a coworker, it could be their neighbor, or it could be a family member. Really, all that they need to know is that name's the person's name and their address, and then reach out to our customer care team and give them a call, and they can process and do the rest.
I
It's a
love that.
simple process. It's nice and simple. So,
Yeah. But let's say, for example, that individuals, they're behind on an energy bill. They're about to get a cutoff notice or something, and you don't know that. All you know is that you've got an elderly neighbor that you want to give a gift of energy. I mean, one may not want to get all involved in the financial issues of this
mhm.
person. They just want to give it to them. So, what happens in those cases?
So the gift of energy would still be applied to the account. And typically,
Okay.
when a customer's in a scenario like that, we're always asking them to engage with us up front. We have
Okay.
lots of tools and resources available to us to help a customer, whether that be putting them on budget billing. If they're behind and have a past due balance, we can put them on an installment plan and help
Wow.
spread that balance out over a series of months on top of what their normal uses will be at that current time. And so we can custom craft a specific plan that'll work for each individual customer.
Okay, so all we have to do is give you what? An address?
Yeah, so for the gift of energy, again, we need the person's name and
Okay.
the address, physical address of where they live. And then once they call our customer care number 833-7500, the customer care representative can pull the account information up based on that information there. And then they'll walk them through the process of how to go about making that payment to the account.
Okay, and is there how would one determine, I know it's a personal decision, but how would one determine the amount that they want their gift to be? Does it matter?
It doesn't
Is
matter.
there a minimum? Mhm.
No, it's up to them. It's up to
Mhm.
the customer or whoever the person that wants to make that donation. So it could be $25, it could be $10, it could be $100, whatever they want to give, and whatever they're able to give to that particular person that they want to give to.
I can't think of I mean, I can think of meaningful gifts, but this one is very meaningful, right? Because
Oh
for
yes.
someone to get their electric bill after the holidays, especially like I talk about seniors who spent, the holidays cooking for the whole family and got all
Hmm.
these people in their house and they're using all the utilities, and then January they're hit with this bill, it's
Hmm.
it's a wonderful thing to see a zero.
Exactly. And like you said, a great surprise when you open up that bill and it's like, oh my gosh, I was
Yeah,
expecting this and now I have this.
right, right. So
So
how is the person? Is it when they get their bill? That's when they're notified that the there's been a donation towards their bill.
they'll see the credit on their bill.
Okay,
Yeah, they'll see the credit. There'll be a gift of energy credit on the bill. And so they'll know, they won't know who it came from, but they'll know that someone made a contribution there.
that is that. Talking about a wonderful secret Santa. I love that. I
Yes.
love that. How long have you all been doing this? Because this is my first time hearing about this.
We've had it out for several years now. So
Really?
it's, yeah, it's
Okay.
been out around. We, you hear a lot about it more so during the Christmas time, but it's around year round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
So
one thing I think, we're all a lot of organizations are trying to find ways to feed families and what have you, but to help to pay those energy bills is an amazing, very meaningful gift. So I'm glad you were here to share that with us.
oh no, my pleasure. Yeah, no, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I know we're about to come to an end, but anything else that Pepco is doing that we need to share with our viewers?
I think one thing as we go into the winter months and in a year-round matter, year-round area, we want to make certain that our customers are prepared for inclement weather or
Yeah.
prepared for a disaster that could occur. And so that disaster preparedness could be creating an emergency storm kit and making certain that they have one of those available or at the house so that if something does happen, they're ready and have the equipment to be able to deal with that. And so within that emergency storm kit, that could include a battery-powered radio, a flashlight, a first aid kit, blankets, battery powered or wind up clocks, extra batteries, medication, multi-purpose tools, and a list of important emergency phone numbers. These type of things in that kit can help them be better prepared to move forward in case a disaster does happen. You also want to have a supply of water, bottled water on hand as well, because if something happens and the water distribution system's not working, you're prepared. You have water there. You can cook with the water and you can also use the water to drink.
Mm-hmm.
You also want to make certain that you keep the flashlight with the batteries on each floor. So that way, if the power did go out, you're not trying to get from the bedroom upstairs down to the basement where the flashlight is without it being able to see. So the flashlight on each level, each area allows you to have access to light to be able to maneuver around in the dark safely. You also want to identify a location for you and your family in case of an extended outage. So if there's an extended outage and you need to be somewhere where you have access to electricity, you want to have that location identified. So that could be a place where you know you can go to get warm, or you can go to charge your devices that you need to have charged. So make certain that you have a specific location identified for that as well. And then make certain if you have a generator, make certain that you review the manufacturer's manual on how to operate it, and make certain you operate it safely, and make certain you never operate a generator inside of your house or indoors in a garage or anywhere like that. And you want to make certain you keep it away from windows so that the exhaust fumes are not come seeping back into the house.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And that list can be found where?
That can be found actually on our pepco.com website.
Okay. All right. That's wonderful. Because again, I started off talking about North Carolina, and hopefully some of those people had a similar list and were prepared, for any emergency. Like you said, there's any
Mhm.
emergency that can occur. So I really, really appreciate that information also. Um, well, I guess, is that it? What else Pepco has for us?
That is it from my end. And then just one more piece there I'll add on to, just as far as you can download our mobile app at pepco.com/mobile app, or you can go to visit our website and then go to the pepco.com/storm prep section
Okay.
specifically, and I'll take you directly to the storm prep information as well.
Next time you all come on, I might ask because a lot of people, and I know one personally, who's also always said, that's why I keep my landline, right? Because I want to make sure that when the electricity goes out, but I'm like, didn't you plug in that landline? isn't isn't that connected to an outlet? So I don't
Mhm.
know if you all have anything to say about that because I don't know if there are any really true landlines out there anymore. But Anything you want to say about that?
And that I don't know, but I do know as a kid growing up, the landlines that we had, they were the very basic, the more analog style landline. You didn't have the cordless phones back then, and so those landlines, when you picked up the phone, no matter what was going on, that phone was always live and it always worked. So
Right.
I guess I had to defer that question over to Verizon to talk
Right.
about that, or whoever the phone company is out here, to have them talk about that specifically. But I do know those old analog phones did work in power
Yeah,
outages.
I think we need to talk about the mystery of the landline because people always say, I'm going to keep my landline. I'm
Yeah.
like, what is it connected to? So, anyway, thank you so much for being with us today, and look forward to you all coming back and sharing other great news. And I hope that people will, again, give that gift of energy. That's an amazing gift. I think that will put a lot of
Mhm.
smiles on people's faces, and I'm glad that that's an opportunity that we can do to really make the holidays meaningful for so many of our families.
Oh yeah, no, that was great. And you know what? Can I just throw in one more piece here? I just realized I forgot to give you one piece. 30 seconds, less than 30 seconds.
Okay.
You can apply for the Energy Assistance Program with DOE via online, or you can mail your application in. So their
Okay.
website, you can go to the doe.dc.gov website, and you can look up the LIHEAP program, and it'll give you the instructions on how to apply online or how to mail that application
Okay. And one more time, because now I'm forgetting.
in.
Where do you get the application?
So you can get the application off the DOE website,
Okay.
and
All
that's
right.
the doee.dc.gov.
With all the senior wellness centers in the city, are there applications made available there for people that go in, or is it a place you can go and pick up an application?
Um, the DOE offices are not open yet
Hmm.
for public people to come in yet, so the applications are going to primarily be, you're going to have to
Online?
download them online. Yes,
Okay. All right. But
and
you
then
one could download an application and then give it to somebody for them to fill out, right?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
All right. Well, we got to think about that too. Because
yes,
again, it's just thinking about the people around us and how we can support them. And I keep going back to those seniors because we're really worried
yes.
about them when it gets too cold and when it gets too
Mhm.
hot, right?
Oh yes,
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Gerald Hinton, for being with us today, and we look forward to seeing you again.
perfect, great. Thank you very much for having me today.
All righty. Have a good one. I want to bring on Prentice Parrish right now and I need him to give me the correct pronunciation. Cerebro, I think it is, communications. And so we want to talk to him about this thing called human marketing. Now, when Chevy told me we were going to have Prentice on the show, and hopefully he'll pop up in a few minutes. Oh, we have a video. So that'll answer my question because I thought, when she said human marketing, I was thinking about the people, that stand outside of stores and flip things. This is Cerebral Communications human marketing. Let's see what.
Now I'm about to share $1 million insight with you. I emphasized human for a very important reason. The consumers you want are the ones that aren't focused exclusively on price. The level of sophistication of consumers that you really want has increased incredibly, along with their demands. Consumers have the power to make or break your business. And just like every human being, they want to build long-term relationships. And they vote with their dollars on who they like, who they believe in, and who they identify with.
Prentice, I'm so glad that you're here. I want to know more about this. And I guess I can say I'm sorry for thinking we were talking about human, what do you call them? Boards, people that flip boards around. Tell us about Cerebral Communications.
Yeah. So I'll take it back to the very beginning. Ever since I was a little boy, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So after graduating from business school, worked in corporate America for Fortune 500 companies and some big brands like Verizon, who you guys were just talking about, SiriusXM, and Thomson Reuters. I really wanted to prepare myself for entrepreneurship, so I listened, looked, and learned. One of the most surprising things that I learned was that many businesses are incredibly short-sighted and take customers for granted. As a brand, a lot of companies don't know who they are, what they stand for, or what they represent. So eventually, I left corporate America to start my own marketing, communications, and branding agency called Cerebro Communications. And my goal really is to support startups, entrepreneurs, and nonprofits to help them effectively develop and tell their own story.
I think that is an excellent asset, particularly for startups, like you said, Prentice, because a lot of times we go into businesses with an idea. And that idea is that, I'm going to do this and people are going to love it and they're going to come and they're going to buy and they're going to do whatever. And we don't always think about it from the customer standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Well, that definitely sets me up for this next statement. And after starting Cerebro Communications, I really recognized what you were just saying there. There were a lot of incredibly talented entrepreneurs that were subject matter experts in their given field, but they had no idea of how to communicate with consumers. But even more important, they didn't have any idea of how to connect with consumers. And that's really when the idea of Build a Brand That Matters was born. And what is Build a Brand That Matters? It's a comprehensive brand development course or consulting engagement that really helps entrepreneurs translate their values and beliefs into authentic brands that connect with consumers on that emotional level. And we deliver the content in 3 different ways. The MAP, M-A-P, which is a self-paced online course with weekly office hours. Next, we've got the Guide, which is a little more traditional educational structure where we have a weekly class session and then office hours. And finally, the Sherpa, which is primarily for larger corporate clients. And like a traditional consulting engagement, we meet with the client at different points in the process, extract the required information that we need, and we do all the work for them. So we try to take it from, you can take the course online yourself, with little on your own time. You can do the more structured classroom setting, or we can do it in a consulting structure with the goal of helping them understand who they are, what they stand for, what they represent, so they can make those connections with consumers that bring the relationships, and the relationships bring the dollars.
And so when you say connect with consumers, I want to dig into that a little bit more. Because, we, like you said, once you've established all those things, how does a business connect? They advertise, I'm sure, they promote themselves, but the connection, how does that happen?
Yep. It's really based on shared values. That is the thing that really cements a relationship, and the relationship depth leads to the frequency of purchase. So let me give you an example. It's our power of relationships test. So I'm going to ask you some questions, yes and no questions, and you just think what your answer to the question would be, yes or no. There's two different groups of questions. The first one is, do you prefer companies that, 1, operate with a clear sense of purpose, yes or no?
Yes.
That share your values and principles?
Yes.
That pursue a mission you agree with?
We're a newspaper now. You have to understand that we agree with. So we might be in a little different situation here. I'm just saying yes for the purposes of experiment. So I to make a long story short, I'll say yes.
Yep. They share a similar vision. And the way you can think about this as a newspaper, what is the content that who is the content that you're putting out going to appeal to? What do they want it for, and how are they going to use it, and how can that strengthen your relationship? Just like the gentleman you had on previously, he's talking about how Pepco can help seniors and lower income people. If you're sharing that information, you're going to draw that audience to you because you're providing a benefit, a resource, important information to them. So those are the types of ways. So let me go to the second set of questions real quick, which
Okay, we only
is,
have a couple minutes, so go ahead. Go right
yep,
ahead.
based on those things, and I'll just run through these. Would you be more likely to buy something from that company, to make repeated purchases from that company, to pay a premium in support of that company, to tell your friends and family about that company? And if you're like the vast majority of people anywhere in the world, your answer to most, if not all of those questions is yes. And that's what the relationship is all about.
Okay, well, it sounds like, so how long have you been in this business, and how is it, do you have any examples of how you have had success with some of the companies you work with?
I do. I actually started Cerebral Communications way back in 2006 while I was still employed with Verizon. I ended up leaving Verizon to pursue it later in like December of 2006. But between then and now, have taken other corporate jobs and kind of bounced back and forth between running this. In this current iteration, I've been doing this exclusively since 2017. And for Build a Brand That Matters, that is a service that through communication, but we're doing it with some brand, so to speak.
Wonderful. Okay.
Oh, and then examples.
Just if you can give me just one, that would be great. Just give me one.
Yeah, the Texas Light Crew is a company in Texas that puts up Christmas tree lights for people in the community. The reason he started it was because he was needed money. He was EMT and needed money because he wasn't making enough. And he started hiring other EMTs and firemen to help him put up the lights. So they've got an exclusive crew of EMTs and firemen, first responders. So worked with them to incorporate his values of providing a strong income to these first responders as part of his marketing. And people, consumers who hear it's EMTs and firemen putting up our lights, because the owner of the company wanted to make sure that these guys could make a living, or get enough money to feed their families during the holidays. People have responded to that like gangbusters. Their business has grown 27% year over year from last year to this year, based on everything being the same except for them telling that story.
I get it. I get it now, and that's all part of. I think it's important for people for businesses to understand that. And if you help to get folks, down that road, it sounds like it's something that's beneficial for particularly, like you said, startups and others that have been around and just are trying to reconnect, with consumers. So I like the idea of Build a Brand That Matters. Do you charge for your? Of course, you charge for your service. Sorry about it. Didn't even ask you that.
Yeah. Well, we've got 3, as I mentioned earlier, the map, the guide, and the Sherpa, with different prices for each of those. And if there are entrepreneurs who may not be able to cover the full stated price, we work with people, our business owners and business leaders, because it's not, to me, about ours exclusively. It's about creating a community, company that are based on values and their local communities, our country, and the world.
Right. Well, Prentice, I want to thank you so very much for being with us. You have a website, I believe.
Correct.
And so we're going to post that right now before we go away. We've got your Instagram page, but we want to make sure we put the website up, because for those who want to know more about Build a Brand That Matters, we certainly want them to have a way to reach out to you and know more about who you are. Yep. So I appreciate you taking this time with us.
Yep, and I'll just say in closing, the website is buildabrandthatmatters.net.
Okay. All right. We appreciate that.
Thank you for your time.
We'll get it. Thank you. All righty. Bye-bye. Have a good holiday.
You too.
All right. We're going to move quickly now to Alfreda Copeland and talking about building a brand that matters. I mean, Alfreda, I think, is working on hers as well. called Agape Bling LLC. And I just told her earlier, I am so proud of her for having, this beautiful Christmas tree up behind her. And then you told me you have 10. Unmute yourself. Oh, there you go.
And
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
It's probably 11 or 12 if you count the small trees, but this year I decided that all trees are going up and I wasn't holding back and I wanted to just really shine in decorating.
Right. Well, tell me about Agape Bling.
So Agape Bling Fashions was birthed out of the fact that I got married really, really young and had children. And, right at that time, like a month after getting married, I got pregnant.
Okay.
And I wanted to dress my daughters in the little fancy dresses that JCPenney's and Nordstrom's would sell, but it wasn't in my budget. So I found out how to get a wholesale license and began going down to the Trade Center in Seattle, Washington, and buying these dresses that I would often see when I went there with someone else who had a boutique. From that birth into me starting a children's clothing business. And then I did a detour and went into women's clothing.
Okay.
So when my children were young, I focused on the children's clothing business, but now that they're up in their 30s or what have you, I took a pivot maybe about when they got about 10 years old, and I went into men's clothing for a season because they wanted me to house the older boys. But you had to get men's clothing to do that. And then I shifted right into women's clothing, and I have stopped in that zone. And love it. Of course, I love to dress myself and I love to dress others.
So, how can people find out about Agape? I'm not find out, but find your fashion. You've got
we have a website.
Mm-hmm.
Our website is agapeblingfashions.com. Like it's spelled AGAPEBLINGFASHIONS.com. You'll find some of our wares there, but you'll also see me vending in the community. I am often at the Busy Bee Craft Show that happens every Saturday from Black Friday through the Sunday before Christmas. So the next time I'll be appearing there will be the 23rd and the 24th. So you'll find me on the second floor. I specialize a lot in sweaters for the winter time. I don't get into every piece of garment, but sweaters are my main thing. This is some of the pictures are coming up now because it's a sweater coat. It can be a coat or it can be a sweater or it can be a dress. Some of our sweaters, they close. You can put a belt around them and they can be a dress. So depending on the style and how you want to style it, throw it with a pair of jeans, wear it with a pencil skirt, or you can, make it a dress. So that's what I specialize in the wintertime, with a few other dresses and outerwears and travel bags as well. So we have custom necklaces. I'm actually wearing one of the custom necklaces here. And these are custom by a guy out of Chicago. Mm-hmm. He makes them just for my business. So let's see, there you go. So yeah. I enjoy wearing these, and they're very good statement pieces. They bring in conversation everywhere you go. So various things we have carried throughout the year, but mainly supporting our women. We are moving into home decor. And so that is where my pivot is shifting in the next 3 to 5 years. It will be shifting more into the home decor because, as I said, as we spoke earlier about the trees, this year I really got into it and I pulled out all stops. And so I realized that fashion, whether it's fashion for the home or fashion for your body, it goes hand in hand. So
going back to my conversation with Prentice, tell me what, since you've been in this business, what need do you find that, or you're trying to serve? You talk to your customers and they come in and say, well, I've got this issue, like the sweaters, I'm a sweater person. And so, if you knew I was going to be a regular customer, I'm sure you'd say, okay, let me get these, make sure Denise sees these sweaters. But generally speaking, as you begin to, bring your merchandise in, what is the need that you're trying to fulfill with your customers? What have they told you?
So one of the main things I'm trying to fulfill is being able to dress any size. People think because I'm plus size, I can't look cute, or because I'm too skinny, I can't look cute. And I'm showing people that everyone can wear a sweater, everyone can wear jeans, everyone can wear red, everyone can wear orange, but there's different hues of red. There's different hues of pink, and you just have to find the one that blends best with your skin tone, right? So a friend of mine has a boutique, and she says it doesn't matter what size you are, it's how you wear, what you're wearing. And so something of that nature is what she says. But I always want to empower a woman. And so when a woman comes into my space, it's not just shopping. They may come over to pick up a skirt and they leave with 6 or 7 bags, or they spend 3 hours in my presence just because I love engaging with women. And so it's the atmosphere is what you get when you come into our boutique. People say that I minister to them when you come into our boutique. And so it's a very warm, loving feeling. And most of the time people just come to sit in, and they always buy, but they come in just to be in the presence because it's a peaceful atmosphere. And sometimes a woman just needs that. She needs to be able to walk away from the office, even men, walk away from their situation and just come into an atmosphere that they feel loved and they feel cherished and they feel good about what they're shopping about, and they can shop on a dime. So we make sure that we have something in a price range for everyone. No one is excluded. We offer payment plans. We offer Sezzle and Afterpay and PayPal so that you can break it up and so that it's not so taxing on your budget. And we offer styling. So if you really just don't know what looks good on you, not only do I show you that one time, but I give you some tools that you can use when you're not in my presence, because it's important to me to empower you, not to just take your money. I understand that we can't pay a stylist every time we need to go somewhere special. So if I teach you and give you the tools, then you'll learn how to dress your body.
That's wonderful. And these days, a lot of people are looking for like timeless pieces. We're not shopping, I don't think, as much as we used to, maybe before COVID. So now we're looking for pieces that we can, that can last for a while, mix and blend, and don't look old after, 2 years, as opposed to things that, are just like popular at the moment. How do you address that?
So for instance, the sweater I have on, let me stand up a little bit. This is one of my pieces that I had maybe 6 years ago. And this sweater is still in great condition, right? Yes. I probably could take one of those little sweater things and get a couple of gnats off of it, but you can't see that, right? And the average person is not going to walk up to you and be like, you need one of those sweaters. It looks really good. And people always ask me about this sweater. I have to be careful because when I wear something that I no longer have in stock, people always want the item that I'm wearing. So I always try to make sure I keep certain things in the boutique so that I can have it available and similar to what I may be wearing. I'm with you. Timeless pieces are key. So I do tend to pay more wholesale for the items that I bring to the boutique so that everyone's not wearing the exact same thing and it has a higher quality. It's going to last you longer. So I have customers that have contacted me since I left Seattle in 2002. They all bought these sweatsuits 1 month before I left. About 6 years ago, one of the customers called me. He was like, I can't find my pants to the sweatsuit. Please tell me you still sell them. And I honestly don't even know what vendor I ordered it from. So, but it was a testament that 17 years later, they still had the sweatsuit and they were still wearing it. Nice. And it was still in great condition. Right. So we laugh about it now, but now I know to kind of write down my vendors, even with time. So
exactly. Well, the good thing is for those who are watching and are here in the DC area and have not had a chance or to get by Busy Bees, to know that you will be there the weekend before Christmas and that you're on the second floor, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I will be on the second floor.
Okay. So that's at Shiloh Baptist Church, 9th and P Streets Northwest. We had Busy Bee on the show not too long ago. So we want to make sure that folks go and that they drop in and see you. And then, of course, your boutique. We have the address here over at Lake Arbor in Maryland, in Largo. So, Alfreda, thank you so very much for being with us to get us ready for the holiday season and all that we're going to need to wear and replace and advice and all that. And the warm love you talked about that you give to your customers. We love that as well.
We'd love to have you. Just give us a call on the phone number, set up an appointment, and you are invited into the warm atmosphere that will make sure that you look good and feel good before you leave our presence.
All right. Thank you so much for being with us today. And happy holidays.
You too.
All righty. So last, I mean, geez, this show is going by so quickly, but last but not least, especially because this sounds like a bunch of fun, if we can get Nicole Kirkendall on now, we want to talk about the
Hi.
Black Holiday Trivia game. Hi,
Can you
Nicole,
hear? I
how are
can't hear
you?
you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can't hear you for some reason.
I don't
let
know
me
either.
play this. Tell her to get out and come back.
So Nicole, you might have to go out and come back in again. I can't tell her that because she can't hear me. But I am really excited. You know, I went to a couple of stores recently, just browsing and looking for holiday gifts. And I've run across, I know you all have seen a lot of these, some of these other games. They're not trivia games per se. And that's why I like the trivia idea. But there are more games out there that are suited for our culture. And I give a hands up to those folks who are creating those types of games that we can play with our families. Um, it means sometimes we realize we don't know what we don't know until people start asking us, you know, certain things about the history, about the culture, even really current sort of things. We just did when our family was in Atlanta over the holidays, and there was a game we played, and I was nobody wanted me to be on their team because I couldn't answer any of the questions, particularly as it related to current music artists and quite honestly, you know, um, passages out of the Bible. I can't remember the name of the game, but it was pretty tough. But I learned. That's the other thing. You learn as you play, and that's what I like about these games. So we're trying to get Nicole back on, see if we can talk to her a little bit more about this. And if that doesn't work, maybe what we'll do is talk to her real soon and come back. But just remember, Black Holiday Trivia. That's the name of the game. And we can order it. Now, Chevy, you ordered yours. Where did you get yours from? Okay, so Sherry went online and ordered the game online. So she's going to put the website up, www.blackholidaytrivia.com. Go onto the website. We're going to get Nicole back. Unfortunately, we can't get her in right now. But go on the website, check out the game, check out what Nicole has for us. See if it's something that you might want to do, because folks come over and besides eating and imbibing and you know, sometimes the family drama that takes place, we want to have some fun stuff to do and learn, especially with the young people that are in the room. So the younger people, I'm still a young person, but anyway, the younger people in the room, so that we can have fun and enjoy sort of learning more about our history and our culture. So at this point, I guess this is it for Win TV. I want to thank you all for joining us today. We will be back next Friday, noon to 1. Make sure you let folks know to watch. We're also always looking to hear your stories. We always want to know what you all are doing out there in the community. So send us information at news@washingtoninformer.com if you think that you have something that you'd like to share with our viewers. And talk to folks. We're going to get that RFK Stadium chair in here sometime soon. So we want folks to think of stories about, you know, their RFK Stadium experiences, so we can get you in and tell our stories and sort of present our memories, share our memories. So with that, it's been great to be with you today, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.